Hi, I'm Brian. This is the BOF for Auditor and Trademark. Right now, I'm the only, well, we have two auditor members here. Martin is here and myself. Is everyone familiar with auditor team's role in Debian? So basically, you can think of like controllers for the project, keeping track of assets and both financial and non-tangible assets. I got involved because I'm also involved in the trademark team and was tracking down domain names and trademarks, and that kind of fed in to join the auditor team. You can read on the screen some of the tasks we're responsible for, and it's.
Yeah, so one of the things, so the delegation actually was from Zach in 2010. One of the things that Zach envisioned at this point was, doesn't work.
Yeah.
Does it work? Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that Zach envisioned at the time was public reports on a regular basis about Debian financial status. We are clearly not there yet. The delegation even said that the reporting frequency we are looking for is monthly. So, but yeah, that's basically the long-term goal would be to be able to have monthly reportings, which means that most of the work should be mostly automated, and that's clearly not what we have now.
Right.
So yeah, from my point of view, I think that one thing where we have quite a lot of work to do is structuring communications with our trusted organizations. So we have 4+1 trusted organizations currently. +1 is Debian CH, which is not trusted organization. Hi, Didier. Yes, but by 29th of August, Didier promised that progress will be made on that. And yes, I think there's a lot of work to do on improving the way we talk to TOs in terms of protocols.
Okay, so we've put together a list of what we're currently working on, and currently the Debian donations page is a little convoluted to actually get to make a donation. It involves a number of clicks. There's an open bug on that. That's on my to-do list. If anybody wants to help, I'd welcome help. So this is a larger, the next one, if you look on line 26, rationalize Debian's approach to donations, hardware donations, partners, sponsorship. Right now it's all kind of separate things, and we recognize our partners and sponsors separately contextually. There's no kind of umbrella of this organization is backing Debian no matter how they're doing it. So we don't have that yet, and I think it would be long-term a good approach to working with third parties. And that the next bullet kind of ties into that as well. It's kind of like coordinate how we talk with our sponsors, like have a more coordinated fundraising efforts. Another action is, and this kind of ties in with making donations easier, is working with SPI to enable donations via PayPal. There was a long discussion late last year with SPI members, and it was kind of agreed that if we follow a certain set of conditions, that they'd be okay if, SPI could enable PayPal donations for member organizations. One of the things we wanted is a little more control over that process, so we would be having a separate bank account tied to a PayPal sub-account and things like that. But that's going to take some work doing. the royalty scheme, could you talk about that?
Yeah, so there's an editor who published a Debian book, and they are interested in setting up a royalty scheme. Actually, what they ask for is a mention of the book on the Debian website, which we already offer to all books about Debian. And based on, well, if we do that, which is easy to do, they agree to give, I don't know, a small percentage of revenue from the book. But that's really small percentage. So we have documents to fill about that. I don't think that's particularly urgent, but still, someone should do it at some point. The last point is actually linked. Well, you can talk about cryptocurrencies. You were the one doing.
Okay, so we were kind of at some point we were wondering if it would be legal to accept cryptocurrency donations, or if it is legal, how to go about it. And we talked to SFLC, who's our legal advisors through SPI, and originally they kind of didn't get back to us, but it looks like the laws have been clarified in the United States at least over the past year, and they're like, yeah, go for it, no big deal. So we're kind of, I don't prioritize it as highly as, like, say, PayPal or other things, but it would be nice to be able to accept Bitcoin and perhaps other cryptocurrency donations. But we still have to sort out how logistically do we want to do it. Do we want to work with a third-party payment processor? Do we want to accept the donations directly? Do we want to have a rule that as soon as they come in, they're converted into some sort of fiat, things like that? I don't want to get too caught up on this particular bullet because I think it is not going to make up a substantial amount of Debian revenue. So, but I think it's okay to look at it. You know. So I'll go on.
So actually the to-do list was split into incoming, is getting money in, outgoing, is improving our way to spend money, and then status, I think. Yeah.
So this is if you want to talk about these two bullets.
Yeah. So so Debian uses several trusted organizations to handle our funds. So we have different reimbursement procedures depending on the trusted organization. The goal of this item is to streamline all of it, document how people should proceed to request reimbursements, because it tends to work quite well, but it's a bit ad hoc, and sometimes there are reimbursement requests that just get lost, and then, well, this person needs to ping again after some time to get reimbursed, and that's not really nice, especially when it's a large amount of money involved.
All right. So.
Oh yeah, the second item is about we have a Debian Visa card provided by SPI. It was initially created because we needed it to open an account on Amazon Web Services. The problem is the way the type of card it is apparently is not accepted by Amazon. I'm not sure of the details.
I think it was a refillable card. I think that was the issue.
That's something we don't have in Europe, so I'm not familiar with it. But so we need to probably speak with. Actually, we should talk to SPI people about it to see if it's possible to get another card, because DSA, for example, is very interested in being able to spend money using a credit card, because currently DSA members have to pay themselves and then get reimbursed. They do that all the time. So yes, we need to find a solution, either improve on the SPI Visa card or find another solution to get a credit card using possibly another trusted organization. If Debian CH is interested.
Well, we already have the PayPal account. De facto, PayPal account.
Yeah, but you cannot really pay for hardware using PayPal.
So I just want to take a break. Does anybody have any questions about what we've gone over so far?
Yeah, let's make this a discussion.
Currently, when looking at the donations page, www.debian.org, it says donation via a software in public interest and not donation via any of the trusted organizations. That's one of the issues. Yeah, but I think we should more streamline that website to show that it's not only possible to donate via SPI, but through all of the custom trusted organizations. That's one issue. And the other one I would like to, currently the donators are not shown on the web page. Historically, there was some discussion about, well, if a student comes and buys 2 terabyte disks, that's probably quite much for a student to pay, but it's compared to that, it's nothing for a company to pay. And I would like to establish some certain donation levels so that we can make it way more visible to the public who donated how much money, because that will probably also attract quite a lot of donators, big companies, to donate money on to the Debian project.
Are you interested in working on that yourself? Yeah. I mean that's a big problem with everything auditor related. That is not something that is of interest to many Debian contributors. So clearly are underpowered. Yeah. So, but if you are interested in working on that, yeah.
Well, probably we then should just agree on some sponsorship levels and then just set it up. I think, for example, if you look at the FreeBSD Foundation webpage, it has a quite nice, good overview, even down to $5 donations to who donated how much money. And if once we agreed on those sponsorship levels, we should just make that page.
Yeah, but who would be making that page?
Well, I would be willing to help with my web team hat on.
Okay.
Yeah. Then there's a problem of automatically getting informed of donations to update the page, and you don't want to do it manually for $5 donation, because it means doing it on a daily basis almost.
Feel free to.
Not at all. Well, maybe we should write things down during the.
Yeah, but I'm standing.
Okay, I can put it in.
Didier.
Huh?
You are the secretary.
Yeah,
okay. Yep.
Okay, so let me just add a section at the bottom right here. Updates from TC14. Donations page. What, did I mess that up? No. Donations page. Add other TOs.
Yeah. Just to give an idea, there have been about 200 credit card donations since the beginning of 2014. So it's really about daily updates.
So one of the things, when I talked about the streamlining earlier, it is related to the SPI thing, where it sends you to the page that has the big list of all the SPI projects. We went away where you just have a form, you select an amount or fill an amount and click donate, and it does it. SPI, it does work with a third-party payment processor that can support it, but it's not their default one. And we also want to add like a couple options for payment processors, but that's can come later.
Can we go back? I don't remember what was the other point.
Oh yeah. So where were we? Status?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can talk about that. So from my point of view, it's actually quite hard to make decisions about the use of Debian funds because we have no global overview of Debian finances, especially over time. So that's something I've been working on. It's not finished, but I have 2 days to finish it before my talk on Thursday. So I'm confident I will be able to present things. So I'm not really going to present results yet, but at least this is mostly done from my point of view. It's not really about strictly doing accounting of what went through, but at least I have an idea of what's going on, taking a step back. Second item is we now have a list of criteria for trusted organizations. 4 trusted organizations went through the process of answering the questions and were approved. Debian CH is missing. Didier is working on that. Yeah, doesn't help.
Those who don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Then the following action item, related to after the TO evaluation, the next thing to work on is actually making sure that we have all we need in terms of remote access to accounts. For example, for SIS, we have a really nice web page to list everything going on. For SPI, we don't have that. For Debian CH, we don't know if we will get that. For Debian France as well. So that's really something to clarify. Following to
So just
also related to that, we need to document the list of trusted organizations. That's easy. That's just about website updates, but still needs to be done.
it currently is documented in the wiki, but he's talking about putting it in www.d.org.
Yeah, something similar to the Debian organization page that lists all delegation.
Okay, so I guess the changes of me being a member of the auditor team is relatively new. The delegation is, me and Philip are not part of the delegation yet, so that's all that is about.
Yeah, it's also about thinking about what's really the role of the auditor team, because it might have evolved a bit since the original delegation.
So that's...
It's not really auditors anymore.
Yeah.
It's not really auditors anymore. It's like more money managing, whatever. It's
Kind of
not anymore an
controller.
external point of view, just to verify that things are, which I think is what the auditor word means, but maybe I'm wrong.
Bookkeeping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bookkeeping, yeah.
Treasurer. Money tracking. The money
Yeah.
tracking.
So who actually makes the policy decisions about what companies to accept money from, whether to use, any particular PayPal, for example, as a conduit for the money? Is that done by this group, or is it done by another group, and you're simply acting as an auditing organization?
So,
follow-up question.
yeah. So the DPL is in charge. So myself, in charge of making the policy decisions about how to spend and accept money, together with. I use the auditors at the advisory board. So there are some constraints coming from trusted organizations. Status of the trusted organization. Not every TO can accept every kind of money, for example. We need to be careful about that. So there have been quite a lot of discussions in the US, which I admit I haven't followed in deep detail, about organizations like SPI risking losing their non-profit status. So need to be careful about these kind of things.
I'll just add a point about that. We've had quite heated discussions last year's DebConf sponsoring of about from whom we can accept money, and there was one discussion about an evil tobacco company, and basically I think the baseline we finally agreed upon is that money is money. So
with one caveat: if nobody's willing to work on it and accept the money, we probably won't.
I think you've just answered my question. If the policy decision is money, then, you're telling me what the rule of thumb is, but that's of some concern to me, but maybe I'm in the wrong BOF, I don't know.
Well, also, money can have no strings attached. So,
Money always has strings attached.
other than what we offer as, sponsorship benefits upfront. Any other questions?
How are we dealing with big money donations where the donator does not want to be listed?
So currently it's not a problem.
In future.
I think that donator should have the option of not being listed. It's quite. We had quite so digging through credit card donations history. We had some surprising donations, but from people that I didn't know them. So because the auditor and auditors team and the DPL get notifications of credit card donations, so they are aware of who is donating.
I can add there has been a history of anonymous donations in the past, but not very large ones. And they typically are dealt with a case-by-case basis. So, trademark?
So so basically that's two BOFs in one. The first half is about auditor. So if there are no other questions, we can move to trademark or comments or. Okay.
All right. So I'm also on the trademark team. The other two members of the trademark team are not here, unfortunately, but we'll just... Debian wordmark is a registered trademark in the United States, and it's also extended to international coverage through the Madrid Protocol in, I'm going to have to say this from memory, but basically the Europe... Sure. I think Japan, China, and the UK are the other three.
EU full coverage.
EU full coverage.
UK.
Yeah. So currently, our job is basically any questions about the trademark, Debian itself. We field email questions. Typically, the questions are, "Hey, can I use your trademark to say Debian is cool?" Or something like that. Or a lot of the trademarks are covered under existing trademark policy under what is allowed. There's a section what is allowed, what isn't allowed. We have a fairly liberal trademark policy that allows people to make T-shirts, hats, whatever paraphernalia they want with Debian branded. You can use it in fair use. Debian is an operating system based on a Linux kernel. Blah blah blah. However, I do not. And it's pretty much good. What isn't allowed, if I recall, the main thing that isn't allowed is you can't use Debian in your domain name. And we are formulating one of our to-do lists is to define policies for handling these domain names. We kind of have working on some informal rules of thumbs of how to handle. Basically, if it's not allowed, you have to ask. So that's what the policy says, but when people ask, we're still sorting out what the answers are. Like, if it's Debian dot whatever, do we even allow those to be held by anybody but a trusted organization of Debian? We have approved certain things like Debian fan, not literally, but Debian fan club Europe.com or something like that. There's some conditions that go with it. You have to agree that this is a limited license, and you have to display the SPI, that SPI owns the trademark and things like that. But if you have any currently, so in a recent achievement, we do have the logo under registration domestically in the United States. There's some further work that needs to be done there before we can go for Madrid Protocol protection. But do understand that because it is a somewhat well-known mark, we do have common law protection in most jurisdictions that recognize Madrid Protocol. So right now, the trademark team is an informal team reporting to the DPL. It has not been delegated, and that's one of our action items. And then this was, the inbound trademark policy involves how do we deal with third-party trademarks like Mozilla and Apache and other things like that. And so that hasn't been on the trademark team's plate, but it's recently been asked if we'd look at it. So, any questions?
So currently looking at the WIPO website, it's China, European Union, UK, and Japan. But I think there are also other countries, especially in the Asian region, which is currently quite evolving what free software is about. So would it make sense to extend the Madrid Protocol to those countries as well, if possible? And
let's see which countries are covered by the Madrid. I don't know how many Asian countries are covered by the Madrid Protocol. I mean, I know Japan and China, but I don't know how many others. As this you have the white world there.
So the answer is perhaps. If I believe that you could come to the trademark team with a proposal for a particular country with a case that we should extend our trademark there, and we would kind of make our recommendation to the Debian project leader whether or not we felt it made sense.
There's different fees associated with.
I mean, there's cost benefits, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing about domain names, let's go back to, there's also all the Debian .something domain names. Currently we deal with them on a ad hoc basis. We don't really have rules about what to do with them. Basically what we do is when we get the chance to get back Debian.tld domain for major TLD, which we make what's necessary to get it, but then the definition of major is a bit blurry, and we clearly are not interested in getting all of them. That would be a waste of money. We were quite aggressive about Debian.eu, but
the fact was that the Debian EU domain was pointing to a Microsoft hosting website from a domain grabber. DSA at one point, I think, talked to Stefano, told him about, and he informed the trademark team, and trademark team asked SPI to help handling that request together with the Software Freedom Law Center, who then wrote several letters to the domain grabber, and in the end we tried to get for the EU domain there is some sort of council where you can bring up trademark issues, but the fee for handling it via this office was higher than just giving the amount of money the domain grabber wanted in the end.
so I read that discussion, and clearly we don't want to go through that process for every minor TLD. It's just be crazy. Also, the other related question is what to do with those domains. Currently, they point to the Debian website. Do we want to use them for local groups? that could make sense in some cases if the group is clearly recognized as a local Debian representative group. For example, Debian.ch is one example where the TLD is not, the domain is not owned by a TO yet. What if we, but I mean, Debian.ch is going to become a trusted organization, but it could be different. What do we do about that?
Just add one thing.
It's becoming kind of the running joke, but it's useful to mention that Debian.ch is de facto already a TO because it's doing reimbursements in the name of Debian for some people. So we will do this procedure, but fair enough.
I mean, I'll add, I'm one voice of many, but I personally believe that all Debian.star domains that we care about should be owned by TOs or held by TOs. So, I mean, dissenting opinions welcome.
And if you are owner of a Debian whatever TLD domain and want a TO to hold it, speak up to the DPL or to the trademark team, and we encourage you to move your Debian whatever domain under SPI or FFIS or Debian France.
Any other questions? I think we can wrap. Oh, I just want to add, my wife, Marianne, has agreed to attend this BOF, and she's been practicing U.S. trademark law for 25 years. So if you have any actual trademark questions that are beyond Debian and they're just generic law questions, she'd be happy to answer them. Okay.
Thank you for attending.